Hi, I'm John and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm John from Nigeria, and on this channel I talk about books. I do the occasional singular book reviews, book tags, book hauls, everything bookish. You can find it here. And if you're a fan of essay length written reviews, I write for a Substack called A Couple of Dorks Substack. Link below. If you like lengthy written reviews, I should get back to that also very soon. Life has just been crazy, but yes, I have a quick, fun little interactive type session which I'll like. What will make it very successful will be getting like a lot of comments, to be honest. So for today, I recently saw this post by somebody who I follow on Instagram, like putting up desert island books, but it was like saying if you had $10 to spend on this list of books to go to the desert island, which of these books would you pick, right? So we have a tier where it's like books $5, we have one of $4, we have one of $3, $2 and $1. So you had $10 only. How would you spend it to pick up any of these books to take to a desert island? So I thought to make something out of it and just kind of bring it forth to you guys, right? And let's interact back and forth, because I found it was very hard for me to like choose what to pick with the money, because it's very small, right? And the tier, it turned out that the books included in the list were a lot of books that I wanted to read, and I think I'd only read like 3 books out of the entire thing when I looked through it, right? And it's not like it was a lot of random books. It was a mix of classics, mostly classics that I have wanted to read for so long, and I think that's what made it so hard for me. So I would love to see like your answers in the comments as we go through it, like when we are done, what you chose to spend your money on. Then maybe I'll tell you what I chose to spend mine on. But yeah, in the $5 category, we have The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. We have The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas, if that's his name, sorry. Of course, we have War and Peace by Tolstoy, biggies. So you can notice a trend so far with like big books, right? And the last one in the $5 category is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, which I think you can kind of see like a group of 4 very notable classics, right? Then we go to the $4 category, and the first one we have is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, which I have read, as you guys know. We have Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf, another classic. We have Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace, and we have East of Eden by John Steinbeck. So we have kind of 3 mammoths and 1 slim book, but that's a very notable classic, right? Then we go to the $3 category. We have Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. We have The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami. We have The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and we have Stoner by John William, which I have read. I forgot to mention I've read Pride and Prejudice, of course, by Jane Austen. Then moving to the $2 category, we have Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry, yes. Then we have The Belger by Sylvia Plath, which I have read. We have The Master and the Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov, if that's his name. And we have 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, another notable classic. And lastly, in the $1 category, we have Erotica by Anais Nin. We have The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. We have The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro, which is the only Ishiguro I own. I was very lucky to get this. Then we have The Little Prince by Antoine Saint-Exupéry. I don't know if that's how you say his name, but it's that classic work, right? So this is how all the categories look like from $5 to $1. And so I just wanted to like discuss each and every book, because like I said, I really want to read like most of these books, like 90% of this list I want to read them. So it was so hard for me to like choose, like to find how to apportion the money, like hypothetical funds, right, to choose what I would take to a desert island with me. Because in the $5 category, we have The Brothers K, Monte Cristo, War and Peace, Pride and Prejudice, which I have read. So Pride and Prejudice was not really one I was gravitating towards, but those big 3 are books I've always wanted to read. And so it's like if I was going to a desert island, I would want all 3, but the limit is $10, but then I ended up taking one from the $5 category, which was War and Peace by Tolstoy. And why, if you ask me? Because I have read Tolstoy before, and yes, you could say, okay, why not try somebody who have not read, like Dostoevsky or Monte Cristo, which I've heard is like an adventure filled book, like, and it's a very big book, right? That's one of the big factors. Like, you have a book to spend a good amount of time in and like spend with the characters. And I think that's why I chose Tolstoy, because I've read Anna K and I love it so much, and it had a cast of characters, but I've heard this one has even more characters and it is even longer than Anna Karenina. It might be the longest book in this list for all I know. So it's like me taking a familiar author, right, but also like a fresh work of his. And so it took me 5 months to read Anna K. Who knows how long I will be on the desert island, so this is like a long time to be with like this kind of works. So I chose War and Peace as one of my books. So choosing War and Peace means I have $5 left. Then going to the $4 category, we have A Little Life, which I have read before, and this is not something I want to reread again, or at least immediately. I read it 4 years ago and it's like maybe my second favorite book of all time, right? But then I love it so much, but it's so painful to get through, and that's one of the reasons why I would not want to read it again. So this was already out of the list for me immediately. That left me with Mrs. Dalloway, Infinite Jest, and East of Eden. And Miss Dalloway, I really want to read Woolf, but I do not know if I would want to carry a book this slim, but I don't know if I want to carry Woolf. Like, I've not read her before, right? But I don't know if I want to go with this like to a desert island. And then there was Infinite Jest, but picking Infinite Jest for $4 meant I had $1 left, and that meant I had chosen only 2 books. So it was so painful for me because I really want to read Infinite Jest, and I know it's like 1,000 pages, almost 1,000 pages, maybe more, I don't know. So that was very hard. And there's East of Eden, who I have read one Steinbeck, which I loved, and so I know this is like the one everybody loves even more. And so this would have been a very, like, the picks here were so great, but unfortunately I chose not to take anything from the $4 category, because at the end of the day, I don't know, like, there's no case stated for if we are going to get out of the desert island. We just know we're going to be stuck there, right? So I chose to pass up everything on the $4 category. And then moving to the $3 category, there was Blood Meridian. I have not read A. McCarthy before. I do want to read him, but again, it's the same thing where I do not know if I will want to. Like, it's like you have limited money, so how are you apportioning it, right? So Blood Meridian, The Wind Up Bed Chronicle, The Secret History, which I have not read, but I've heard is a very fun book. I have a copy of The Secret History that was sent to me for my birthday by a friend in the US, but it was sent to a friend in Canada. One of my friends from Nigeria is studying in Canada, so she's going to bring the books to me when she's coming back for the holidays in December. So I was very grateful to Modern Ajuma who sent those books to me. Yes, and yeah, so if you do want to send me stuff, but not too much stuff, a few books maybe that I might make a wish list if you want me to, you can send books to my friend in Canada for me, then she brings them when she's coming back to the country. But yes, I have The Secret History with her, and so I've not read it. Of course, casually I want to read The Secret History because everybody knows it's one of those big ones, buzzy ones on the internet in general, but also I did not know if to go with that. Then it was left with Stoner, which I have read before and which I do like a lot. I do not know that I want to reread it. So at the end of the day, I ended up passing everything on the $3 category, which now moved us to the $2 category, where I chose 2 books. So here we have Lonesome Dove, The Bell Jar, Master and Margarita, and 100 Years of Solitude. The thing with Master and Margarita, I've heard a lot about it, but it's not something I'm moving to read immediately right now. 100 Years of Solitude, I really want to read because of its reputation. But yes, I've heard it's also a difficult book, which would have been good to have in that time, because then I have all the time in the world, so like let it wash over me and to sink into it, but like limited money. So at the end of the day, I ended up going with Lonesome Dove because I've heard it's a book about friendship. I also know it's a really big book. I love a chunky book. Like, before I started properly reading, like, or like when I started properly reading, it used to be like romance books, right? But there used to be these fat 400, 500 page books, some mysteries, like thrillers. That was what I started reading, with 400, 500 pages. Like, it's now that I read more short books. So I feel the thing with this desert island situation will be taking as many big books as this amount can allow me. And rather than take another $5 book, I used the $2 to take something like Lonesome Dove, which was, I know a lot of people love. It's just as impactful, right? But then it's also like cheaper, right? And ultimately, for some reason, I had to just pick the Belcher, even though I've read it before. But in the past few months, I have constantly thought of Esther, the main character in the Belcher, and just the book itself. Quotes from it keep coming back to me, like keep meeting me at this very specific time in my life. And it kind of reminds me of when I read Elizabeth Mann's The Idiot last year, and I liked it, right? But I did not love it. But then as the months went by, I started thinking of Celine, the main character, and her voice. It is that lasting voice. That's what I think Plath did with this novel for me. Like, the narrator's voice stays in your head, and I would want to read this book again. So I chose Lonesome Dove and the Belcher. And the final book I picked was from the $1 category, and there remember, there was Anais Nin's Erotica, The God of Small Things, Arundhati Roy, The Little Prince, and Remains of the Day. So I ultimately chose Remains of the Day because this is the shortest one I picked. It's $1, and I heard this is a thriller as well. I've heard it's very fast paced and like very like mysterious. It's a mystery rather, yes. And so I was like, with everything I've heard about it, like this is probably like the best one to take among like the small ones, because I was not really interested in the other three. So that makes up my $10. So yeah, that brings us to the end of it. Let me know what you spent your $10 on, how you apportioned it. I know the video is so silly, but I found it so like it took me literally like 10 minutes to decide what I was going to pick, because it just felt so intense, like that prospect of having like limited options, and like I was going to be stuck there. What would I do? And I thought to myself, like, what are some books? Because I have like almost 100 books I've accumulated over 5 years, 4 years to 5 years now, right? Yes, 5 years. And I have sold some to rent my place here. I have gotten a few new ones as gifts, bought some again. And yeah, it's just constantly like I cannot take all of them with me. So what are some of my own books I would take? I don't want to do too much to extend this video, but 2 books I know for sure, aside War and Peace, is going with me. That one is for sure. One Piece is a certainty if I had limited slots. The other 2 books I would say are The Goldfinch by Donald Hart, because you can see the size. I think that speaks volumes. Like, goes to the thing with picking big books throughout like the whole thing, right? This one is like 720 pages. So, and I am a slow reader sort of, so a lot of time to spend with it. But ultimately, above all, I had to choose Sorrow and Bliss by Meg Mason, my favorite book of all time, as you can see by the tabs. So I love this book to bits. I've been thinking of rereading it this year. This is the first year since 2022 that I have not read this book. I read it in 2022, read it in 2023, read it in 2024, and I have the urge to reread it again. I find myself thinking of Martha's voice, which eternally stays with me, right? But this year I chose my reread to be The Handmaid's Tale. But yeah, I think I'll probably throw in some Stephen King there. Maybe if I have not read Crime and Punishment by the time I'm to be stuck in Desert Island, throw that in there too, just like for variety, right? But yeah, just a fun crazy video. Please let me know what you would do with your $10 in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share, subscribe. The channel keeps growing. It's crazy to me at a slow scale, but really at a faster scale than it had in months. So if you are new here, thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the community. Please comment. I love the comments. I love responding to them. I love interacting with you guys in the comments. And yeah, what are you currently reading? What have you enjoyed recently? Reading has been crazy for me. We are still in the rut, but pray for me, guys. I will probably see you in the next one. Bye.